Four Knights of the Apocalypse Chapter 160 is officially out, and this was just a boatload of reveals this chapter. Just unexpected front-loading of information and just character introductions that I wasn't expecting to come in just one singular chapter. But hey, I'm happy, and it actually didn't feel bloated whatsoever. It felt completely natural, and it was actually kind of fun to see these particular characters be shown up in this chapter all at once. Team Percival and Gawain have some funny interactions and moments, and they're already on their way to the Cauldron to participate in the Gladiator Festival. And where we left off last time, they were in need of some weapons that would actually help them in this festival. And we also got a bit of Arthur's backstory in the previous chapter, thanks to Kay and realizing his relationship to Arthur and why they're so strained nowadays. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and ensures you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to support the channel more directly, go and become a patron on my Patreon. For just $2 a month, you get access to my patron-only Discord server, early access to videos up to a week early that aren't chapter review videos, and other details where you can recommend me stuff to review. And I'm currently setting up stuff for potential live readings or watch parties on a bi-weekly basis once I get things figured out for that. You also get your name at the end of videos starting in September, and you can potentially get a shout out at the end of the video. I'm planning to make the Patreon and the Discord server as fun and as engaging as possible to make it worth your while. And also, if you want, go and use my referral link down below for Advanced GG and use my code GreekWeeb10 to get up to 15% off at checkout for some really nice supplements, shakers, and thermoses from Advanced GG. Really great flavors for focus, energy, and just straight up hydration. You will really enjoy it. Now with that out of the way, on with the video. So Four Knights of the Apocalypse Chapter 160, titled Off to Enwith. I cannot pronounce this goddamn name. I'm just going to keep calling it the Cauldron from now on, just to make things simpler. And the cover image is Percival flying into the distance. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of Goku or Gohan from Dragon Ball, and this probably is just another one of those Dragon Ball references that Nakaba does every now and again to showcase how much he loves that series and how much it's inspired him. But going on with the start of the chapter, we get a bit of the giant island-like sailboat flying in the sky as Team Percival is walking with Gawain as they're wondering what's going on, and based on their conversation, they're basically talking about what Percival learned about Arthur and Kay's past that Percival learned in the very last chapter. And we are actually following Gawain as she is taking the group somewhere. Also, just really quick, Gawain is in her pre-time skip outfit. The only thing that's changed has been perhaps slightly her height maybe, and also her hairstyle. I was honestly kind of hoping for a better outfit, because I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of not a big fan of it anymore. Mainly because everybody else got new outfits post-time skip. I was kind of expecting Gawain to also get one, but I guess we'll have to make do with the haircut for now. But as everyone's wondering where Gawain's taking them, Gawain states that they're going to be leaving in 1 hour, and that the ship, when it leaves, will be at the Cauldron in the blink of an eye. So in the meantime, they gotta wrap up what they can here. As they end up walking into the kitchen, as they know there's a bunch of food and cooking supplies. Gawain then shouts out, "Yo Dubby, sorry to interrupt you while you're making dinner, but I got stuff to do." As everyone's wondering who is this guy that Gawain is asking for. Maybe they're just a chef. As we then see in the steam clearing away, somebody saying, "I truly wish you wouldn't do this." As when Team Percival looks out, we see a giant in the kitchen working for Gawain. As he says, "I keep telling you not to enter my sanctuary without my okay." So upsetting. As Gawain just says, "Stop whining, I got urgent business with you." As I love everybody in Team Percival just crawling together to cling on to Percival, just being kind of freaked out that they're seeing a giant here. And yes, by the name, this is Dubs, the master craftsman of the giants, just casually cooking meals for Gawain and her family. How this is a thing, I got no clue, but this also kind of explains why Lancelot could not find him, probably because he somehow, someway, Gawain found him and brought him to Camelot. Maybe somehow through the barrier, for all we know. I need to know how this is possible, because unlike Nazi End, who's a hybrid, Dubs is a pure giant seemingly, unless he somehow is also half human. In that case, that would kind of make sense to how we would get into the barrier, unless Gawain found a way to just do a I don't know, bypass the barrier to Camelot so Dubs can get in? I got no clue. But yeah, this kind of explains why Dubs was so hard to find for Lancelot and why simply nobody in Camelot really knows where he is if they were getting him. So yeah, Dubs was in Camelot the entire time, just being Gawain's personal chef. So I just kind of like we got a casual reveal of one of the most important characters in the series, and I am so glad we got this reveal before I even started making a Dubs potential video for what this could happen. So that's a video out of the list. But back to the chapter, Dubs says to Donnie, saying that he's huge, says, "Thank you, but I'm on the smaller side of my kind, you know." But then Dubs looks over at his pot and says that Gawain interrupting him basically made his dish a few seconds over the time limit, and if it's over that time limit, it doesn't taste as good, so he's gotta start from scratch. But Dubs just says, "Alright, fine. Just tell me what you want. I can't have you messing with my cooking again. Want me to make you some new pudding, right?" Nazianz asks if Dubs is actually a giant, as Gawain says, "Yeah, you got a good eye." As she basically introduces him as Chef Dubby. I don't know why that's his nickname, why she gave him that nickname. It's also kind of funny, but that would be something that she would do. He says, "Here's the pride of my household, but he's also a hobbyist blacksmith. So dedicated." As he's just like, "Come on, you're upsetting me. That's my main job. Cooking is my hobby. I did forge the 7 deadly sins sacred treasures, you know." As this catches Gawain and everybody else off guard, except for Percival, who just honestly did not catch any of that, acting like you're such a good chef and this is just a hobby, as he is probably one of the slowest people in his entire series to actually come to any conclusions. Yeah, I'm honestly, any doubts that I had this wasn't the actual Percival are completely cleared up in this instance. Only Percival would be so slow on the uptake to just completely go over an entire bombshell of information. And it's An who frustratingly has to tell him that this is the man who made the Coffin of Eternal Darkness that ended the war 3,000 years ago, the master craftsman Dubs. And after finding this out, Gawain is freaking out, being like, your real name was Dubs?" As he just says, "Yeah, Dubby was the nickname you gave me." And that makes sense, going away so far in her own head that she would just assume that the nickname she gave the guy that ended up being a blacksmith, a cooking job, would be his actual name. That actually kind of tracks, and I find that kind of hilarious. And while they're talking, Percival's like, "Dubs, that rings a bell." As man, Donnie also asks the important question, "Is your head okay, man?" Gawain just ends up privately saying, "Right, I wanted you to craft some weapons for us. The best you can make, perfectly suited for all these guys. Can I count on you?" As Dub just plainly says no. As this just annoys Gawain, and she just bangs on his head saying, "What was that? How dare some hired chef refuse the commands of his master?" But Dub says that he was hired as a chef, not a blacksmith. But he goes on to say that he's not interested, and money won't change his mind. As everyone's kind of like, pretty moody guy. And then Percival finally puts the pieces together that he's the world famous blacksmith. Classic Percival shenanigans. But he then goes up to Dubs and just talks to him about his friend Lancelot, about how he's been looking for him, and that he needs a weapon made for Lancelot because his magical power is so strong that he can't find a weapon that can actually handle his immense strength. And Dubs thinks, weapons can't withstand his magic force? Huh. As he then honestly says, "Are you kidding me? That's the most exciting thing I've heard in ages." As he starts laughing maniacally, trying to hold it in. As he then gestures for Nazianz to go up to him, as he then begins to feel up every inch of Nazianz to get an idea of their body, their muscle type, and their magic, all just from basically touching every instance of Nazianz, noticing the necklace that they have being from the sacred tree, as Nazianz just runs away. But Dub says, "When making a weapon, I need to know not just height, weight, and muscle, but also your handiness, your type of magic, if any." So, after hearing that, Percival just yoinks Nazianz from hiding behind him and says, "Oh, okay, so that's it, huh?" I'm saying, "I would very much like to meet this Lancelot also. Can you tell him that I'll be here?" Obviously, setting up some potential meeting between Lancelot and Dubs in the near future once we inevitably get to seeing Lancelot again post-time skip. Now, just a quick thing. I actually mentioned in an older video that's well over a year or two old at this point about how I found Dubs in making the sacred treasures for 7 deadly sins kind of a weird thing. I'm going back to the manga myself little by little, but to my knowledge, it's never been stated how Dubs met the Sins, how he gained their weapons, because based off of this literal text that he said, he needs a ton of information about the people that he's making weapons for, before he can make appropriate weapons that would be best suited for them. So this either is being like a retcon for Nakaba to try and like find a way to like make it so that all 7 Sins have met Dubs at some point while they were Holy Knights in Britannia, or this is just further makes a plot hole bigger than I can honestly entail. I'm more towards the latter, hopefully. And I'm probably just missing something. Let me know in the comment section if it's ever clarified in the manga whatsoever. But from what I remember, it was never fully explained how Dubs made the weapons for the Sins and how the Sins gained the weapons. So just wanted to say that in this instance. But after Nazi ends, Dubs ends up beckoning over Anne as she refuses. You got some weird thoughts in your head for wanting to do this, right? But then after he says no, she realizes that her magic isn't affecting him, as he's actually genuine about what he's doing. He has no ulterior motives for what he's doing. And she's not really too keen on it, and this kind of angers her that this is going to be how she gets her own special weapon. But Donnie's like, oh, stop being insecure, as he goes up to be first, but Dub says, after you take a bath, because he smells so bad. That's kind of hilarious. Donnie's going to be the last person to actually get a weapon. Classic Donnie luck. So yeah, this basically seems to show that all 4 of Team Percival, and maybe Gawain might get an upgrade to her weapon, might actually all get Sacred Treasure class weapons, which will actually be a very big benefit in the future and could definitely up their power for the future encounters in the story, and maybe give them an actual chance at fighting the 4 perils of Arthur and maybe stronger Chaos Knights. This also does kind of confirm that Gawain's sword was most likely created by Dubs. So this might actually be somewhat confirmation that Gawain's divine sword Rita was made by Dubs. I also think that Dubs being in Camelot and with Gawain, call me coping, but it might have something to do with Merlin maybe? I'm just going to say, who else can find a way to get through the barrier to bring in an actual giant? That shouldn't be possible unless Arthur allowed it. I'm just saying. But moving on with the chapter, there is an announcement over the speaker from the grandmother golem that we saw last chapter, stating that they're finalizing their route to the cauldron and they're going to depart in 10 seconds. So expect turbulence and grab onto something solid. And apparently, yeah, Gawain says, yeah, this is a piece of cake for her. She taught me all of my magic, you know. Which, yeah, I'm starting to really go into the fact that these grandparent golems that were left to Gawain were probably made by Merlin. Because if Gawain learned all her magic from a golem, I'm there's a 99% certainty that those were made by Merlin as a roundabout way to help train up Gawain. The pieces fit a lot more the more I think about it. I might be overthinking things, but that just makes so much sense when I say it out loud, actually. But yeah, the ship then begins to shine and then disappears as they head on to the cauldron. We then cut to somewhere most likely still in Camelot. There is no indication of where they are, so they might still be in Camelot, but somebody is running away, about to jump into a hole in order to hide. But then this giant lizard-like creature, probably a purgatory beast, appears in front of this young lady. As then someone comes up with one sword in each hand, one of them being the Coffin of Eternal Darkness handle, and instantly destroys this monster. Placing his sword back, after destroying it within an instant, hair flowing in the wind, someone calls out to this person named Tantris. As this guy says, there are sleeper beasts lurking all over here. I keep telling you it's dangerous to go out alone. As the girl apologizes, saying that she just wanted to pick a flower for him. He grabs the flower and says, look how dirty you are now. I'd never want you to sully your soft hands for me. Never, Isolde, my love. Fully revealing Tristan back into the story, dual wielding, and one of them being the Coffin of Eternal Darkness sword that Percival once had. Well, not only confirming Tristan is somehow still in Camelot, he might not be a prisoner, also showcasing Isolde is with them, looks and acts completely differently, also stating that he loves Isolde, so for all we know, a few things might have happened over the 2-year time skip, and that Tristan seemingly might be in his right mind, for all we know. And that ends the chapter. So outside of us getting to finally see Dubs in Fortnite the Apocalypse confirm his location and being with the most unlikeliest person in the world, being Gawain, being her personal chef, and is also actually willing to give seemingly all of Team Percival seemingly sacred treasure class weapons most likely before the tournament, we also get reintroduced to Tristan and Isolde seemingly at the end of the chapter. But there is something off, primarily with Isolde. She's not acting the same as she would. She would have tried to fight that monster. She wouldn't be in a frilly dress right now. She's seemingly like more so accepting of her circumstances and herself being a knight. But at this time, perhaps Camelot or something has altered her perception of things and Tristan's perception of things. Or maybe Tristan knows something's up with Isolde and he's just trying everything he can to protect her. And maybe he did realize his feelings for Isolde over the last 2 years, for all we know. But yeah, Isolde's acting strangely differently than normal. And Tristan might actually be in Camelot. It might seemingly not be in the Cauldron prison like we initially were led to believe. Now, whether or not he'll actually enter in this tournament, I got no clue. But if he hears about this, it might lead him to the tournament. Also, I'm just going to say this. Him fighting with the Percival sword, the Confident Eternal Darkness handle, while it is cool that he's keeping it on his person, it's also a downgrade from one of his swords. Because from what I see, he is using his Goddess Blade, Mael, and the Confident Eternal Darkness handle, which means he's not using the Esto Rosa blade, and it does not seem to be on his person, at least not from the illustration we've been given so far. So, he has one blade that can defend against mental attacks, but he ditched the magical blade that can cut through magical defenses. I'm just saying, it's smart to keep the handle on him, but it's such a downgrade in terms of a weapon. But hey, that's just my personal opinion on the matter. But yeah, this is a really big chapter, some really nice revelations about Gawain, Dubs, and Tristan showing back up, being badass, and just being somewhere in Camelot seemingly. But I still gotta think what's gonna happen with the next couple of chapters, because Team Percival's on their way to the Cauldron. I'm not sure what Tristan's gonna be doing right now, if he will be at the Cauldron when this whole tournament ends up coming in. But leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below on what you think's gonna happen, as well as your thoughts on the chapter. And if you haven't already, once again, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Helps and shows you enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm happy so far we're getting consecutive weekly chapters of 4 nights again. I really do hope that Nakaba's health is a lot better and that he's not forcing himself to bring out chapters. But with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.